God told Moses exactly who he was. He gives him his personal name. He says, I am the great I am. He is telling Moses who sends him. And God gives something very specific. He gives him 3 names to identify himself by. He says, go into the Israelites and tell them the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. And he says, this is to be my name forever. So God is using these 3 names to say something about himself. He was announcing the gospel that day to Moses. And you've got to see why he chose those specific names. The God of Abraham. Who is Abraham? Abraham was the father of many nations. He was called out of his father's house to go to a place that God would show him. Abraham was prophesied to have a son, and this son would bless all nations. And Abraham was willing to give his beloved son to God. And now he takes this beloved son up Mount Moriah with the wood of his sacrifice on his back. So the God of Abraham, this won't make sense though if you don't realize what Abraham saw. Our Messiah said, Abraham saw my day, that he rejoiced and was glad. Now Abraham believed in the resurrection. Abraham had already been promised that through Isaac all of these blessings were going to come. So when he brought Isaac up that hill, he was believing in the resurrection of his beloved son. Isaac's journey did not end at this site. God provided a ram, and you'll remember that that ram's head was stuck in a thicket. Now, Isaac, he's the God of Isaac. Who is Isaac? Isaac was the impossible birth. He was the promised son, the one through whom all these nations are going to be blessed. And what happens with Isaac? Isaac has a son. He has twin sons, Jacob and Esau. He's the God of Jacob. Jacob came from the promised son. Jacob becomes Israel. God's people come from this promised son that's going to bless all of the nations. And Jacob, what does Jacob do? God ends with that name. He says, I'm the God of Jacob. He started with Abraham. He goes to Isaac. He ends with Jacob. Jacob is the one who sent his beloved son, Joseph, to check on his own people. What happens when Jacob sends Joseph? Joseph had this coat of many colors. His brothers were jealous because their father loved him the most, right? So Joseph is seeing these visions that he's going to rule over his people, and they don't like this. They put him into a tomb that was intended to be his final resting place. Now, this tomb was originally meant to hold water. It was a cistern, but the cistern was empty. He's placed into this empty tomb, and then he gets brought out of the tomb. What happens after he's brought out of this tomb? They sell him for a price, 20 pieces of silver. They remove his garments. They sell him into this slavery servant position. As a servant though, Joseph, everything he does when he is sent to serve, everything he does is blessed. He becomes the head of his master's estate. He is an exalted servant. God put this in here for a reason. What happens to this exalted servant, Joseph? He is falsely accused and imprisoned. But even in prison, he continues to be blessed. He encounters 2 prisoners. One of these prisoners is pardoned, and the other is condemned. Now Joseph, his blessings don't stop after he's taken out of this tomb. He gets risen to the 2nd highest position in power under Pharaoh. Now, as he's in this position, he is able, with God's help, with this divine intervention, he saves up food. He knows a famine is coming, and because he was betrayed, he was able to save thousands of lives. And when Joseph's people come back to him, they are starving, they are hungry, they are going to die. They come to Joseph. They don't recognize him the first time they come. They recognize him the second time that they show up. He's in this exalted position. So now they recognize him. He has mercy on them. He forgives these people who were persecuting him. He says, what you have intended for harm, God has used for good, the saving of many lives. So what was intended to be his death brought salvation to the multitudes. And when we go back to the Gospels, we see our Messiah. He was brought up for sacrifice at Golgotha, and when he was on that cross, he was looking straight at the temple. You can see Mount Moriah where Isaac was brought up. Our Messiah sees the temple. Solomon built the temple on the top of Mount Moriah, and when our Messiah was put into the tomb, who put him into the tomb? It was a rich man named Joseph. God wanted us to see that those three names represented the gospel and they represented the Son. He's coming back.